So if you love pumpkin and chocolate, you're going to love these cake bars. Let me show you how I made them. So here I have an 8x8 square pan, and it's lined with parchment paper. I'm just beating up my eggs here before I add them to the bowl. Next is going to be my pumpkin puree, and this is fresh pumpkin puree, guys. It's not from the can. It's fresh, just pumpkin puree. I'm adding my sugar. I'm using a brown sugar, the Truvia brown sugar blend. And you can add more sweetener if you'd like. I like it just like this. This is also right here my vanilla. And I am using 2 tablespoons of honey. This is raw honey. You can omit the honey if you don't want to use it. There's my coconut oil. And if you don't use the honey, you can always use like extra sweetener of your choice, like stevia or just more of the brown sugar substitute. Whatever sweetener you like to use for your baked goods. Just make sure it's all combined before we add the dry ingredients. And this is coconut flour and a little bit of salt. And there are my spices, which is cinnamon and a little bit of ginger, and my baking soda and baking powder. I didn't use a lot of spice for this cake. I just kind of wanted more of the combination of the pumpkin itself with the chocolate. So I used a little bit of ginger and some cinnamon. And of course, you can adjust that to taste if you want more spice or more cinnamon or any other spices, you can add it. This is how my batter came out. And it is a little bit thick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some unsweetened vanilla milk. Unsweetened almond vanilla milk, because we want our batter to be kind of loose, not runny, but we don't want it to be too thick, because then your cake will be dry, and nobody likes a dry cake. So here I'm just making sure that the milk is incorporated into the batter. And the last thing I'm going to do here in a minute is I'm going to add my chopped chocolate. I didn't have any chocolate chips. I had just some dark chocolate. I had a dark chocolate bar from Trader Joe's. And that's what I did. I just chopped it up and it's dark chocolate. See here, you can see my batter is looser, which is perfect. Now you want to add the chocolate that you like, that you enjoy eating alone, because that's what you're going to taste in your cake. This is what I like, the dark chocolate. So this is what I used in my cake. And you just want to fold in the chocolate at this point. You don't want to mix it too much, because you want to keep it in the size chunks that you have chopped already. Perfect. So now it's ready to go in the pan, which again I've lined with parchment paper. Very important. If you don't have parchment paper, just make sure you grease the bottom and the sides of your pan generously so this doesn't stick. Now, as you can see, this is a good amount of batter. You can ultimately use a larger square pan, or you can even use a round pan, whatever pan you like. If you want your bars to be thinner, you can use a larger square pan or rectangular. Or you can even use 2 8x8 square pans and just make 2 sets of bars, but they're just going to be thinner. I really wanted the thickness because I want this to be just like a cake. And that's why I use just 1 8x8 square pan. So just make sure you distribute your batter evenly in the pan before you bake it. This is going to rise a little bit, so you want to make sure that it rises evenly. And now it's ready for the oven. Make sure you have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. And I baked my cake. I ended up baking it for about 40 minutes. I checked it at 30 minutes, but it was still a little bit jiggly in the middle. It didn't look like it was cooked all the way, so I left it in the oven for about 40 minutes. So you want to check, depending on your oven, how long it's going to need. And here's the cake right out of the oven. It smelled delicious. And I'm just touching the middle, making sure it's not still raw, which is not, because I did the toothpick taste. Here I'm showing you the chocolate that I used, which is the Trader Joe's dark 72% chocolate. And I use this to make the ganache, or the topping for the bars. And guys, this is the easiest chocolate frosting you'll ever make. This is basically just a chopped chocolate. Make sure it's in even pieces. And what I have here is some very, very hot coconut milk. And this is full fat coconut milk. You can use any other milk you like. I like the thickness of this coconut milk. And I try to use coconut milk whenever possible in ganache instead of the heavy cream because of the dairy. And this is very thick, so it's going to thicken up pretty quickly. The heat of the milk is going to melt the chocolate, and you're going to see it's going to come together into a very, very fudgy, thick batter or frosting. So depending on how thick you like your ganache or your frosting, in my case, I thought it was a little bit too thick, so I added more of the coconut milk. And this is, like you see, very, very quick. Doesn't take much, and you can't go wrong. You can add a little bit of vanilla to your ganache if you'd like. I didn't add anything. It's delicious just how it is. And again, use the chocolate that you like to eat when you make your ganache. And now it's ready. See, it's thick, but it's pourable. And I'm going to go ahead and pour this all over my cake. Now the cake has been cooled. It's still slightly warm, but that's okay. It's been out of the oven probably for about 30 to 45 minutes. So you can go ahead and pour the ganache on top. You can use less of the ganache if you like, but who are we kidding? If you love chocolate, you're going to want all of that ganache frosting on there. So I'm just bringing the camera closer so you can see what it looks like and what I'm doing. I'm just spreading it evenly, just making sure we cover the entire surface of the cake as evenly as possible. And what you want to do is you want to put this in the fridge for at least a couple of hours before you cut them into bars and serve them. I left it overnight, and that was perfect for me. But it is kind of hard to wait to eat the cake. And then we cut them into squares. You're going to get 16 squares. Look how delicious. These are amazingly delicious. So I hope you love them, enjoy them. Please try the recipe, and thanks for watching.